They say there's a learning curve for everything, and owning a home is no different. So this week on Today's Homeowner, we're going to do our best to flatten that curve and simplify your life, but only if you stick around. Owning a home is very exciting, but of course a home is made up of a lot of different types of materials and a lot of different systems. When you think about all the complexities of a home, you think about how many different things can go wrong and how many things you're going to have to maintain. Well, if you have a wood deck, you know all about maintenance. It does require a fair amount of maintenance really to keep a deck, especially a wood deck, looking good. And one of the big enemies, one of the things that you enjoy the most about summer, the sun. The sun really breaks down the finish on handrails, steps, anything that's exposed to the sun, a lot more so than area like this that's protected from the direct sun. But maintaining a deck is fairly easy. First of all, you need to make sure it's good and clean. Now you can use a pressure washer, that works pretty well, but you'd be surprised how well a deck cleaner will work. It will really pull all of the debris out of the pores of the wood. You can leave it on for a few minutes and then just wash it off with a water hose, let it dry, then you're ready for the real important part of it is to apply a good quality stain. Now you can apply the stain using a pump-up garden sprayer or a roller, but the key thing is to back brush it. Make sure you use a nice wide brush and force that stain down into the pores of the wood. That'll protect it, that'll keep the moisture from causing you a lot of problems. Now when moisture does get into the wood, it can cause a very rough surface. That's what I had with this handrail. Now I just finished sanding it so it's nice and smooth now, but it was fairly rough, but sanding that off, cleaning it, then it's ready to apply the stain. Now, I'm going to take care of this while we look at something else that you have to maintain, your lawn.
Obviously, a main component of lawn maintenance is mowing your grass. And how you mow can affect the health and beauty of your lawn. So I thought I'd share a few tips with you to help make that process just a little more productive. First of all, you want to start with a good sharp blade. A dull blade won't cut your grass, it shreds it, and that can lead to a very unhealthy lawn. Now you can sharpen these yourself. Of course, you can also send it out to be sharpened professionally. If you do, here's something I recommend. Always have a new blade on hand, a good sharp blade. That way, when one is off, you put the other one on and you don't have any downtime. Then at the start of next season, just swap it out and start all over. Second of all, think about a bag. I love having a bag, but I don't use it all the time. The reason why is I like to have a mulching blade on my mower. That way I feed my lawn as I cut it. But if you want that beautiful, professional, just spotless lawn, nothing beats having a bag to catch all those clippings. Third, think about how high you cut the grass. You don't want to cut your grass too short because that can lead to exposed roots and a dried out lawn. Typically you want to cut about 1/3 of the blade and that's it. Finally, think about the speed. What I'm talking about is how quickly you're cutting your lawn. It's not a race. Your throttle needs to be all the way up, full throttle when you're cutting, but the speed control, keep that at a moderate speed. This is where having a walk-behind mower is pretty cool when you've got a self-propelled model because it sets the speed for you. A steady, moderate pace means you've got a good uniform cut.
Hey, in addition to the sun really causing problems with wood surfaces around your house, it also can cause a lot of problems with the vinyl material that you have. Vinyl downspouts, gutters, also vinyl siding, overhangs, that kind of thing, because the sun will cause it to oxidize. It can start getting pretty dirty. Well, I'm gonna beat Joe to the simple solution that I have on how to deal with that. Now, we're all familiar with this stuff. Armor All does a great job protecting and revitalizing all of the plastic and vinyl on our cars. But what I found is that it does a great job for any vinyl that you have around your house like this. All you have to do is spray it on and then just rub it in. And not only does it revitalize it, it'll protect it so that it will last a lot longer and look a lot better longer. That way, you can spend a little more time enjoying your deck.
When your shoes are soaking wet, you want to get them dry as quickly as possible because otherwise they get moldy and can get really stinky. Now you can just throw them in a clothes dryer, but the problem with that is they make a racket and they can actually pop the door open and shut off the dryer entirely. And leather shoes will dry out and can crack. And some athletic shoes have heels, inside the heel are air-filled or gel-filled pockets, and they can rupture in the heat. So you don't want to put them in the dryer. Here's an option, using a household fan to dry the shoes. The first thing you want to do is open up the shoes as much as possible. And you have to take the laces out, but you want them really open so the air can get in there. Then use a pair of snips and cut off a wire hanger. Cut a piece about 6 or 7 inches long and bend a small hook on the end, and then a larger hook on the other end. And now you're just going to make sure the fan is off. Just slip the hooks into the grill, just like that, hook them on, and then hang the shoes from the wire. And I also like to put a towel underneath just to catch any water that might be dripping off the shoes. And now you just want to click on the fan, and even on low, you'd be surprised with the air blowing through it continuously, these shoes will be dry in about an hour or hour and a half.
This week we're looking at a number of the very small things that are really nice to know if you're a homeowner. Now, these are not real exciting things, but they are things that you're going to face, like bathroom cleaning. Here's a couple tricks that'll make it a little easier. This is an acrylic shower, and what I did, you can see the difference here between the before and the after. I cleaned all this lower part of the shower off, first of all. Then I used a car wax, paste wax, and I applied it all over this area. And then what happens is when you take a shower and the water hits it, it's going to run right on down, and that means the soap scum just won't pile up like you see up on this upper part of it. The same goes for a shower door. Now, look at how we have the before and after of this. I've already cleaned this one side here, and obviously this side's not clean. And then what I did is I sprayed a little rain repellent on it. This material is great for windshields, and you're able to spray that on it, and then you buff it down. And then when water hits it, when you're taking a shower, it's going to run right down, versus this, that it stays put and that soap scum will stay with it. This really needs a little more work to make it look nice. The thing is, you don't like this stuff, so why not do it as little as you have to by trying a few of these tricks?
If you ever thought you wanted to replace your kitchen faucet, it's not that it's that difficult, but it does take a lot of patience. I'm okay with plumbing work, but I'm not that okay with patience. But let me show you how easy this can be. Obviously, we want to take this out. We're going to replace it with a different fixture, and you would think the first thing you want to do is turn the water off. Actually, the first thing you want to do is gather all your tools together. A couple things I like to have handy are paper towels, just in case, because you will have a little bit of extra water in the line to mop that up. I also have a regular towel that I keep, and this is not for water, this is for my back, because you're going to be inside a cabinet. Make sure the cabinet is completely cleaned out. And I also keep a little cup or something just in case I have a little bit of water that, again, I can just capture and have it handy. All right, so I've got my tools. I've got some wrenches. I've got some tape here, some Teflon tape. And the most important tool for me are my glasses. This multi-tool plumbing wrench works for disconnecting the supply lines in this tight space. Next, the locking nuts that hold the faucet in place come out so it can be removed. A quick cleanup of the sink deck, and we're ready for the new faucet. Because the new faucet only uses one hole, it only needs one lock nut, which has set screws to help keep it secure. This little weight goes on the extension hose to help pull the sprayer back into the fixture. Before the supply lines are connected, the threads of the fittings should be wrapped with Teflon tape. The important thing when you are applying Teflon tape is that you want to make sure it's being wrapped in the same direction as you would when you're turning the nut to tighten it. That way, the tape doesn't come off as you tighten the coupling. Repeat with the cold water line, turn the water back on, and check your work. Ooh, how about that?
There's no more annoying sound than when water constantly trickles down from the toilet tank into the bowl. But what's really surprising is how long people live with this problem before they fix it, sometimes weeks, even months. And I think it's because they assume the repair is going to either be really expensive or you're going to have to call in a plumber, maybe even replace the toilet. But that's almost never the case. 99 out of 100 times, you can fix the problem by replacing the flapper valve. These flapper valves are made out of rubber, and what happens is they dry out and crack, or they'll warp, as this one. This is the one I took out of this toilet. And you see it's completely warped, so water kept dribbling down into the bowl. So what I did is first turned off the water to the toilet, then flushed it to drain out most of the water. Then I just unhooked the old flapper valve and snapped on the new one. Adjusted the chain to make sure the length was correct, turned the water back on, and I flushed it a couple of times just to make sure it was all working properly. Then for just a couple of dollars and a few minutes time, I solved the problem and there's no more leaky toilet.
Before we get away from all of the plumbing issues, what about all of the mineral deposits you have in your water lines that's running through your house? Oh, they're there. No matter what type of quality water system you have coming into your home, you're going to have some deposits kind of floating in there, and that can cause you a few problems. What it can do, first of all, it can clog up a lot of your aerators at your faucets, and that can slow the water down a little bit. It can also create quite a bit of sediment in your water heater, and that can make your water heater a lot less efficient. It'll cost you a lot more money. That's why we recommend trying to drain your water heater at least once a year. Now, if you want to get rid of some of these deposits, here's what you can do. Go out to your main water cutoff and turn it off. Then go into the faucet that's the greatest distance away from that cutoff. In this house, it's this tub faucet here. And you want to remove the aerator if it has one so that it won't get clogged up. Then, while your water is cut off, turn this faucet completely on. Then go back out to the main cutoff and turn it on and let it blast away a few of those deposits out of your water lines. It can save you a lot of problems down the road.
Well, when it comes to outdoor security lighting, you know what? You really do have a lot of choices. And I try to recommend to homeowners that if they can, go ahead and get a motion detecting security light. But you know, what if you've got an area in your yard or on your property where you can't get power out there, but you would like to make it more secure with a security light? Well, our friends at Heat Zenith have solved that problem. Take a look at this. This is a solar powered motion light, and once the panel collects solar light and stores it in the battery, even if it's been raining for a couple of days, it can still power this light. The nice thing about it is there's no wires that you have to run to power it. It's easy to install. And another thing is the radius that you get of motion detection is up to 180 degrees and as far as 70 feet away. So anything comes into your yard, that light's gonna come on and you're gonna know it. Nothing can give you more peace of mind than knowing that you and your family are safe. And having a motion detector light like this will add to that.
This week we're looking at a number of things that you really need to know as a homeowner, and we don't want to deal with just the negative aspects of home ownership because there's a lot of good things about owning a home, but there are a couple safety issues you need to be aware of, and believe it or not, this is one of them. This is the vent that exhausts the air from your dryer, and this goes through a wall, in this particular case, into the laundry room. Now, this might not look like a safety concern, but you might not realize that there's 15,000 fires a year in the U.S. that result from lint buildup. What happens is it restricts the hot air from the dryer being able to escape from the house. The dryer heats a lot more than it needs to. That's where the fire occurs. It can also cost you a lot more money in your energy bill because it takes so much longer for you to dry your clothes. So it really pays to clean all of the lint out of your vent. It's very easy with something like this. This is a lint brush that has an extension handle on it, very inexpensive. You can get it from the home centers fairly easy, and all you have to do is remove the cover. In this case, it's not even attached. You just slip it out like that. Then you can just run the lint brush up inside. Then you can just turn it a little bit, and you're able to keep it nice and clean.
If you're lucky enough to live in a home with ceiling fans, you know they're a great way to save energy year-round, and they're virtually maintenance-free. The exception is when a fan wobbles excessively. Not only is it noisy, but it can also shorten the life of the fan. Now, the mistake most homeowners make is the first thing they do when they have a wobbly fan is they go out and buy a balancing kit. There actually are several steps you can take before you need a kit. The first thing is to check at the very top where the fan meets the ceiling to see if you have a loose electrical box. All you need to do is just shake the canopy, and this one's nice and tight, so that's not a problem. You can also lower the canopy and check the box, but in this case I can tell that the problem is not with the box itself. And the next thing is to check all the screws on the fan itself. There's usually one up here on the down rod. It's a set screw, make sure that's nice and tight. And you also want to check the screws on the top of the blades, where the blades meet these brackets. These brackets are called blade irons. So you want to make sure all these screws are tight. And you also want to tighten all the screws where the blade iron meets the ceiling fan itself, right on the bottom. Those are usually accessible, so there's no problem getting to them. Now, if all the screws are tight, what you need to do is check for warped blades, because if a blade is warped, it's going to throw the fan out of balance, and of course, it'll wobble. So what we're going to do is just take a yardstick, hold it against the ceiling, and we're going to rotate and measure each blade. Just pick a spot, either the very top edge or the bottom edge, and we're going to check each one. Don't move the yardstick though, because you want to make sure you're measuring in the right spot, the same exact spot. Now these blades, let me see, so far, the bottom edge is right at about 13 inches. So that's pretty good. So we know the blades themselves aren't warped. If for some reason the measurement was way off, what you need to do is take off the blades, then stack them up flat. And it'll be really obvious which one is warped and you have to replace it. Occasionally, the blade iron itself might be warped. I've never actually seen one, but I've heard that these can warp. So again, if the blades seem flat, take off these blade irons and do the same thing, stack them up and see if you can find one that's warped. If everything checks out, then you can go out and buy yourself a blade balancing kit. And it's basically just weights that have sticky tape, and you put one on and you test it, and if the fan's still wobbling, you can switch it to another blade, and you can eventually balance it. But 9 out of 10 times, you can solve the wobble and take the wobble out of a fan long before you ever have to spend any money.
Now here's another fan you'll find in your house. It's not as visible, but it can be more noticeable. It's a bathroom vent fan, and it serves the purpose of pulling moisture out of the room that can cause mold and mildew. The problem is, as they get older, they can get noisy, people stop using them, and that defeats the whole purpose of having them. So here's some things you can do for maintaining them. I like to recommend 4 times a year. Every time the seasons change, pull the cover off and vacuum out any accumulated dust and dirt. It's also a good idea to take a quality silicone spray and lubricate all around the fan. Now, if you still have a noise issue, because a lot of these fans were made by Broan or Newtone, you can get an upgrade or a replacement kit. Simple to install. It's basically unplugging it, taking out one screw, popping the housing out, putting a new fan housing in place, re-plugging it in, and you've basically got a brand new fan, including a new cover plate.
I've talked a lot about the importance of recycling and reusing, but let me ask you this. What do you think about starting a worldwide group of people who give and get good stuff for free? If you need something, you go to the group. If you have something you don't need anymore, tell your group about it. Something like that could keep millions of pounds of perfectly good, reusable stuff out of the city dump. Well, guess what? A group like that already exists. There's over 7 million members and growing. And here's the best part. Membership is completely free. It's called the Freecycle Network, and according to its website and its mission statement, it's a gifting movement that reduces waste and saves precious resources and eases the burden on our landfills. It's a free yard sale. That's green and fun. I hope some of these ideas will help you make your home a better place. Of course, we didn't cover everything you need to know when you own a home, but we did at least get you started. Now keep this in mind, if you live in a neighborhood where most of the houses are the same age, probably your neighbors have already encountered some of the things that you're facing. Ask them about how they dealt with it. That may save you some time and money. Hey, thanks for being with us. I'm Danny Lipford. We'll see you next week here on Today's Homeowner. Next week on Today's Homeowner, we've got tips and ideas on improving the great outdoors and some great get your hands dirty kind of projects to make it all happen.
And you have a cat up top, I see. What you doing there, cute cat?